Good morning, everyone.
So we invest in a lot of.
Thank you very much for joining us for the committee of the whole at Pine Island City Council Chambers. And this morning we have a presentation from the Library Committee and Mr. James Hill. Are you starting?
Actually, I'm going to present. This is Rachel. I'm Rachel Gray. I'm the director here in Pine Island at the Van Horn Public Library. Unless that's Nicole coming in the door right now. And we all look and see. Anyway, I'm going to start. She's supposed to be our presenter this morning, so I apologize if I flub my lines here. So the libraries in Goodhue County consists of Cannon Falls, Kenyon, Lake City, Pine Island, Red Wing, and Zumbrota. And I think we'll just kind of go down the line so that you guys can know who these fine folk next to me are. So, Nicole.
I'm Michelle Addy, and I'm the director at Kenyon Public Library.
I'm Randy Decker. I'm the interim director at Redmond Public Library.
I'm James Hill. I'm the director of the Zumbrota Public Library.
I'm Peter Well, director at Lake City.
So thank you very much for having us, and we'll just tell you a little bit about what the libraries have been doing on the last year. So 2002 has been a pretty busy year for all of us. As you can see, we've got our numbers here on our patron visits. I personally am very glad with the way our numbers here in Pine Island have been doing, and I think my colleagues here are pretty happy with theirs as well. It's been going up, so thank you for everyone in our communities who come and visit a library. We do a lot of library programs as well in our different areas, and a total of 208 programs were done throughout the county. And we had 13,587 attendees to those different programs. And then that was actually in 2021. And then last year we had an 8.4% increase over that. So our total was 833 programs and 14,838 attendees came to all of those. So we are doing pretty well with that. And that includes adult and children. Virtual probably as well for most of us. Our library space is used in many different ways. We don't just hold books in our facility. We do a lot of test proctoring. We do supervised visitations, tutorings. We have our good old standby of book clubs. We also have a lot of different meetings that come to our facilities. So the Scouts, a lot of nonprofits, and then some healthcare with baby cafes, elder networks, AARP and social services all have availability to come into our libraries and meet with their clients, at least libraries that have meeting spaces. I get to do a little bit of that here in Pine Island, but otherwise we go elsewhere for that. So just plug in a new library for Pine. We have a lot of items.
You want us to help you support that? You want us to be
I would
an advocate for that?
that. Let's meet and have Scouts meetings in my library.
That's kind of what I heard.
Yes. I'm not afraid. And if you have any questions for us, please ask us as we go here. We had a lot of items circulate, and about a quarter of those were county circulation. So out of the almost 400,000 items that circulated throughout our libraries, we had 91,585 come through county citizens. So that I think is a good testament of how many people in the county use our facilities and come in daily, weekly, monthly.
Gotcha.
Go right ahead, yeah.
So just for clarification, in case you're unaware, so that circulation, when we talk about county circulation, yes, Cannon Falls and Zumbrota, we're in the county, but we are taxed solely for our citizens and city residents by the cities for that. So the funding that we receive from Goodhue County is exclusive of city residents, and so only rural, what we call rural residents. So those citizens living outside the municipalities of Cannon Falls, Indian Lake City, Pine Island, and Zumbrota, and Red Wing are charged for that service.
Thank you. Yes, that's a good, I forgot about that designation. So great. We don't just circulate books and movies in our libraries. I know we have a lot of different things. I'm not going to read all of these, but I know that James at Zumbrota has a lot of hotspots that go out. We personally circulate jigsaw puzzles at Pine Island, and we've got all of the other libraries that do circulations of non-traditional things. So as you see, story time kits, puppets and the like. Do you want to take over or are you trying to catch up with yourself? Totally up to you.
We all love construction, don't we?
This is Nicole. She's our Cannon Falls director.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've never been to Point Island before, I had no idea there was road construction from kind of Cannon Falls.
Yes.
So,
So do you want the microphone?
um,
Are you good or should I?
you're here, right?
I think it's for the online more than anything.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see, I made notes. What slide is this? Oh, circulation. All right. So, well, you can see it up there too. What I had is that people tend to think of libraries as book warehouses and places that check out books. But as you can see from the slide, we do so much more than that. We check out puppets, explorer packs, story time kits, breakout kits, STEAM kits, jigsaw puzzles. And so we are here for so much more. And we offer so many more things that people can borrow than just books and DVDs. So we can go to the next slide, which is technology and online services. Again, libraries are places of learning and entertainment. Some libraries are able to offer access to subscription services like Mango, Canopy, and Ancestry, but not all our libraries can. All residents of Minnesota have access to eLibrary Minnesota for free. And Selco offers services to Libby for anybody who has a valid library card. And one of the nice things within the last couple of years is that we have opened up our collection to share with Rochester Public Library and Traverse des Sioux. So now all people who have a Selco library card can now access their collections and they can access ours. So we have a much larger Libby collection that we can access to download ebooks and audiobooks. Yeah, that's what I had for that one. So then we can go to the next slide. Okay. And I do talk fast, I'm sorry. So this slide reflects data use from 2022. As the general public has felt more comfortable returning to the library, we've seen more people coming in and using our public Wi-Fi. The last few years have seen a rise in remote workers, as I'm sure you are all aware. And some of them come into the library so that they can use our Wi-Fi. I'm sure all of us have experienced that. We've got people just sitting in a desk and camping out for the entire day and just doing their work. And that is wonderful. That's another resource for the community. So next. Computer sessions. Like the last slide, this slide reflects 2022 data and indicates how people are more comfortable returning to the library. We see people using our public computers for all kinds of uses, many of which are listed on the next slide. I don't like to read the data on the slide because I figure you've got it. I'm just going to give you the background info. So then, how do people use our computers? You can see it. They print out boarding passes, fill out job applications, take online courses. They do test proctoring. All of us experience that. Tax season just ended. People come in to print out their tax forms because the IRS is not sending us tax forms anymore. So all of that kind of thing. Then our next slide is website visits. One thing that COVID taught many of us is that a robust website is worth its weight in gold. It's a great way for us to share information with the public about anything library related. Overall, there was a decrease in our website visits, but that is not indicative of every library. I know my library had an increase.
If I could just jump in, our social media presence is maybe taking over some of that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people here in Highland use our Facebook page a lot more than our website now, so.
That's true for us too. That's a good point. Yeah, so maybe we should start including that too.
Maybe next year.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Okay, library as a business center, especially in rural Minnesota and a post-Kinko's world. We all remember that, right? Public libraries are sometimes the only place in town where people can scan, fax, laminate, make copies, or get notary services.
Is notary services available at all libraries? No,
Not all,
just some of them?
just some of them. Yeah, like my library, none of us have gotten the certification.
I
So
think it depends on, my library has a lot of part-time, and so we can't guarantee that the person who's a notary is there every single day. We have a notary at City Hall, and there are a few in town that we can send them to, but
Building a city hall and we have two notaries there.
Okay.
And we're doing full-time, it's not very, she does it for free. It's such a waste of time.
Yeah, I didn't even, if I was looking for a notary, I wouldn't have known that. And I should have, but I don't. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good that that's a service that's there.
yeah, next. Okay, and then rebounding from COVID. So here I have stories from almost all of the libraries. So we all kind of collected some success stories of ways that we have rebounded from COVID. So I'm going to go alphabetical order with libraries. In Cannon Falls, our craft classes have become so popular. We were doing them before COVID. They become so popular with our hybrid format of some people attending in person and some people picking up a kit and then following along on our YouTube channel. That subscribers on our YouTube channel have gone up, views have skyrocketed, and we get people from all over the country calling us, asking, so when's the next video gonna be up? And thanking us for our really well-designed, well, I don't know if they're well-designed, but very well-instructed craft classes. And our latest craft video, we earned over 1,900 views in the first 24 hours. And this is something that we would never have done if not for the pandemic. And in Kenyon's story, over the last year, Kenyon hired a new youth services librarian, and she brought a lot of energy and new ideas. Programming increased by about 18%, but program attendance increased by nearly 101%. Understandably, COVID did play a part in programming attendance in 2021, as it did for all of us. But programming attendance in 2022 was the highest it was in 10 years, at least. So there's a lot of fun and new educational programming going on in Kenyon. In Pine Island, they have a handful of homebound patrons that they deliver a new selection of books to on a 2-week schedule. And that includes the assisted living facility. And Rachel started a book club with them, and she brings books once a month for a discussion. So nice outreach program there. Red Wing has some interesting stuff too. Their library board determined that they want to increase all sorts of personal adult programming for the library, from author talks to puzzle competitions. And one of the first efforts was a monthly pub style trivia night where the library provides questions, snacks, and a minimal prize for the winning team. And it's exceptionally popular with where they've had to cap the number of attendees at 40 people. And they're coming up with lots more ideas too for programming. So awesome.
So just so I clear, so you deliver books to people in assisted living and
who I take books to, and then Evergreen I visit with. They come every other week, but I also try to bring books to people who aren't able to come.
that's great, because one of the things we hear about in the human services world is about isolation and to be able to do some of that, a little bit of personal contact, delivering a book, that means a lot.
Yeah.
That means a lot to that.
Yeah, we do the same thing in Cannon Falls and people love it.
And I think that,
Yeah.
and I think that kind of thinking is the local way we can have an effect without saying the government needs to solve this. We can do those kinds of things and it will affect those people in their lives much more than we try to do it from a administrative government and
It should be local,
good work.
because we know, and we know each other.
Right.
You know, if we need.
Excellent.
And then Zambrota's story is that they've used ARPA dollars for a self-checkout machine that helped us stay open during COVID. And their numbers on the machine now account for 16% of their total circulation. And that frees up staff time for other tasks. And although their total circulation decreased, county circulation has increased, which is a very nice point. So, yeah. And then these last two slides are just collaborations. They're not even a list of all of the partnerships that we libraries have made with our local communities. We're really establishing ourselves as community organizations and community hubs. And that people are responding to that, especially coming out of COVID. So yeah, just peruse the entire list. And thank you all for your support. We couldn't do what we do without you.
Well, you're right. Seeing the public libraries as a community hub is an excellent way to look at them. And it's very clear you offer many, many things that, thank you for that very much. You're filling gaps.
Thank you.
I think the Red Wing Library, the public restroom is really one of the few in downtown Red Wing. So I think really it is. So people appreciate that, and no one's ever crabby. People just come in and use the restroom. And then I've seen people who are, they appeared to be homeless sleeping on the floor. And I remember your staff just gently asking them to get up and move to a chair. So they stayed warm and were in a more comfortable spot. And I appreciate that
I
too.
wonder, we see increase in number of people who are homeless.
Right.
There's a church group in Brooklyn, houses during the night, and then during the day, spend time at the library. Just hang out, they're even Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's like warm, just staying in the house.
Well, thank you all very, very much for coming and for your presentation.
Just a couple comments because I sit on the Salco board and get a little bit more into the weeds with what happened on that end. What these folks are doing doesn't happen in hardly any counties in southeast Minnesota. Them coming before us and giving us a report like this, in other counties, that doesn't happen. So I appreciate all the work you put into keeping us informed so that when people ask us, why are you levying these dollars for libraries? It's because of this, because of what they do and who they serve. And James did a really good, because he's been on Selco and been active down there, as are many of you. He did deal with showing dots on a map where it went from Zambroda, where they were. And all of you, I think, can do that or do that. Sometimes to share something like that with this board would be, you will see from Red Wing to Pine Island to Wanamingo and almost to Cannon Falls, Zambroda Library is affecting that many people. It's kind of amazing to see. So I think there's just a wealth of information that these people, and a real in tune to the community, being a public library, that you can share with us. That's really important. But thanks for the report. This afternoon, we have a budget workshop for Salco.
If I might.
You laugh. You may be next on there.
Right, if you don't mind me, I just want to say I really appreciate these comments in particular. There was a time, probably no one here remembers, maybe except for.
I remember.
Where it wasn't a good working relationship. It was every few years we'd come and ask for some money and there was no communication outside of that. So we appreciate that you recognize that we are trying to establish and maintain a relationship where you have a better understanding of our services and our funding streams. So we really appreciate that. And thanks for the longstanding agreement that we've had.
Yeah, and I think, there are counties that that it's 1 year at a time, and our system of doing 3 years and tying it to some kind of inflator is really key to having this many libraries to serve all the people in Goodhue County. So really appreciate the work you're doing.
Just have a curiosity question. There's a lot of people who've moved out of the area that like to stay in touch with it. And are they able to access local newspapers through the library or not? I'm just curious about that.
Like,
Digitally? Yeah. So somebody in California wants to keep up with what's happening in Goodhue County, or they can't do that. They need to do it through the paper themselves, the newspaper themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I understand. It was just a question.
Yeah.
So there are some, there actually are some digital copies available through the Minnesota Historical Society.
I see.
We individually, we have trouble securing due to copyright laws past a certain date, it's like 1929, I think it is. So we do have a number of papers digitized prior to 1929, but after that, it gets a little murky. We have to secure certain copyright issues. And Pine Island, as a board, actually wrote a grant many years ago to get a lot of our news record digitized, and I believe some of the old Red Wing papers are also up.
We had a donor give us $90,000 and digitized pretty much everything before 1900. And it's available, searchable online for free.
Really? That's cool.
Can leader in the community news, anything before before I believe now is all online.
But like with the more recent stuff, there are some databases in our electronic library of Minnesota, what we call Allen, that do have some access to papers. I'm not sure if any of our papers in Goodhue County have that, but I know like the big cities like Rochester and the cities and that kind of stuff. So at least they'll get regional information there.
I think it's important to understand too, we're just talking about this because our microfilm machine is on its last legs. And the cost for a new machine is $10,000. But having them digitized, so we're looking at like what the cost is, it's about $1 a page, right? Now that I'm saying this, I'm not the information in front of me, but we have, yeah, it's $1 a page. We have about 60,000 pages that we need digitized. So there are grants available, and legacy money is available for that. But it's a time factor, just having to kind of slowly go at a pace that's good for whatever your library can afford or whatever donations are there. But, that, and I'm just speaking about Lake City, where you have 60,000 pages for the newspapers that are, so even if we secure the copyrights for all of that, the money still has to be there, $1 a page. So we should use the microfilms, right?
So your library card, if you have a library card, you can't access the current newspaper that's on the shelf today. But within X number of months, you can access it, or is
Every
it?
year we get,
Oh, it's at a year end. Okay.
yes, but we then keep the most recent copies in the library.
So I thought I'd heard something about that in some areas, if you had a library card, the paper would allow you to use that to access their. Haven't heard that?
I'm sure that's probably happening in some places. We don't have that.
Okay.
Papers are probably not as lucrative, and so they might compromise their subscription.
Yeah, I can't see the chemicals making that available.
You just gotta walk down the street. You just gotta walk down the street, stand in the bakery and read it.
Yeah.
There's ways around buying it. Yeah. You can't get, okay. Excellent. Good information. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very, very much for all the work that you do and what you offer the communities.
Thanks, good.
Thank you.